Welcome or welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Bookmas. Today we have a very chill sit down video where I tell you the 2026 book releases that I'm really excited about or that are like in mostly everyone's radar, but there are some that I haven't heard anybody talk about that I caught my eye, so I'm gonna tell you about them and also about some arcs that I read that I think you should be on the lookout for. Gonna grab our cozy Christmas mugs, maybe make yourself a tea, a coffee, a matcha, whatever you want, or an alani, whatever you desire. Grab your cozy blanket, your mug, and just let's sit down and talk for a little bit. I tried to put this on order, but there I only got to May because there are some book releases that get like announced at the start of the year, like in January or February. So I just have a little bit of all of them because if you go to the Goodreads list on every month there is like 200 books getting released in a year, and honestly you probably don't know about a lot of them, but there are a lot of books that are getting released every single month of any year. So let's start, and the first book that I have is Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy. I read or listened to Got My Mom Died back in I think last year or 2023, and I really enjoyed how she wrote and her story. And this one I think is her fiction debut novel, so it is very interesting. Cover just scratches something in my brain and makes me so curious. And by the summary of this, which I'm gonna tell you in a little bit, it kind of gives me vibes of My Dark Vanessa. But I don't know. I think My Dark Vanessa was a little bit darker, and this one is a little bit different. I don't know. But let's read you the summary. It says Waldo is ravenous, horny, blunt, naive, wise, impulsive, lonely, angry, forceful, hurting, perceptive, endlessly wanting, and the thing she wants most of Mr. Corgi, her creative writing teacher with the wife and the kid and the mortgage and the bills, with the dead dreams and the atrophied looks and the growing punch. She doesn't know what she wants him. Is it his passion, his life experience, the fact that he knows books and films and things that she doesn't? Or is it purer than that? Rooted in their unlikely connection, their kindred spirits, the similar filter with which they take with which they each take in the world around them. Or perhaps it's just enough that he sees her when no one else does. Startlingly perceptive, mordantly funny, and keenly poignant, Half His Age is a rich character study of a yearning 17-year-old who disregards all obstacles or attempts to overcome them in her effort to be seen, to be desired, to be loved. And honestly, the cover is just stunning. I am very excited to read this one or maybe listen to it. Who knows? But that is the first book that I have on January. I only have two, so the next one I haven't seen. This was one that I found on when I was scrolling through the Goodreads list that caught my attention because of the story, the cover. It just sounds very interesting. It's also sapphic from what I've seen. It says it's 2015, and Maxine Thomas, the founder and creative director of the cult makeup company Reveal, has just been suspended by her own board for a scandalous transgression. Housebound in her New York City apartment, where she awaits the verdict on her future, Max recounts her version of the events that have brought her to this moment. It is also told over the course of 9 days, it says, and it says, from her start as a precocious suburban child in the 80s to her decades as a workaholic visionary, Max proselytizes a sheer dewy look, cosmetics through a female gaze, all while battling sexist investors, the whiplash of cultural change, and the mounting pressure to keep her sexuality a secret. But when Max's story catches up to her present, she must contend with the cost of true transparency. Who has she become in her relentless pursuit of success? And what will happen if she loses it all? I don't know. It's just there's something about it. Just seems like Hollywood drama, and I recently read a story about like the music industry and everything, and I don't know. I'm very interested right now in stories like that. So this one caught my attention, and it sounds interesting. It's sapphic, and I just kind of love the subplot in a sapphic fiction book. Whenever that person hasn't come out or is like hiding like her sexuality, I don't know. I feel deeply connected to those stories, and I'm excited for those. Now in February, I have three that I'm excited about. The first one is The Wild Card by Stephanie Archer. This is the fifth book and final book in the Vancouver Storm series. I have read all of her books, and this will be the last that I have yet to read. And I'm very excited about this one. All I know is that this is a coach's story, and it will be completing this whole world for us. And I really love the second one, the fake fake net, something like that, the fake out. And I also really enjoyed Gloves Up, which was the fourth one, and I was so incredibly lucky to get an arc for that book. So I'm very excited for this one. I just know it's gonna be so good because I don't know. I am desperate for all the coaches story in like the Windy City series, this one and the DC Stars. Like I am gonna eat them up. And next, I have Agnes Albert's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett. This is the author of the Emily Wilde Encyclopedia of Fairies. I haven't read that series. I honestly have no desire to read that as of this moment. Maybe someday, but right now I don't have like that desire. I don't really read a lot of cozy fantasies, but this one has caught my attention. I tried to request the arc on Nagali, but I didn't get it. But this one, the cover, the title, the plot, I don't know. It just seems really interesting as a cat lover. So it says Agnes over leads a meticulously organized life, and she likes it that way. As a proudly type A manager of a much needed cat rescue charity, she has devoted her life to finding forever homes for lost cats. But after she is forced to move the cat shelter, Agnes learns that her new landlord is using her charity as a front for her internationally renewed and thoroughly disreputable magic shop. Owned by the disorganized, not to mention self absorbed, irritating, but also decidedly handsome Hayflock Brenner, magician and field dark lord. The shop draws magical clientele from around the world, partly due to the quality of Hayflock's illicit goods, as well as their curiosity about his shadowy past and rumors of his incredible powers. Agnes's charity offers a perfect cover for illegal magics. Agnes couldn't care less about that shop, magical intrigue or not. There are cats to be rescued, but when an enemy from Havelock's past her faces, the magic shop and more importantly, the cat shelter are suddenly in jeopardy. To save the shelter, will Agnes have to set aside her social conscience and protect the man who once tried to bring about the apocalypse and is now trying to steal her heart? It just seemed like a cozy fantasy regarding cats and maybe a little bit of romance. It sounds so cute and cozy. And honestly, the cover is just what drew me to it. So I'm very excited. And the last book that I have for February is She Made Herself a Monster by Anna Kovatseva. If I probably don't pronounce the last name wrong, but it is what it is. The cover of this is stunning, and the story is a creepy. And I'm not much of a horror girly, but it feels so interesting, and it's kind of reminding me of Vampire Diaries. So let's just talk about the plot a little bit. It says, we make monsters in order to destroy them. For thousands of years, we've named witches and burned them, suspected demons and exorcised them. When crops die and children fall ill, who better to blame than a monster? In 19th century Bulgaria, Yana rides from one desolate town to the next, staging grisly displays while the villagers animal corpses in the public square, eggs filled with blood in the chicken coop. She tells the stricken villagers stories of vampires that stalk the night. Then Yana eliminates the threat and leaves seeds of hope in her wake. The village of Koprivici, however, is plagued by exceptional illness and misfortune. Its children rarely survive in infancy. There, Yana meets a headstrong orphan who the villagers bring for the curse. As Anka approaches womanhood, the village captain is grooming her for marriage against her will. Anka is powerless against him, that is. That is until Yana arrives. Together, the orphan and the vampires later hatch a plan to conjure a monster so vile it might provide cover for Anka to escape. But their plan quickly takes on a horrifying life of its own. Inspired by Slavic folklore, she made herself a monster, concocts a clever mix of witchery, ghost stories, heresy, and deception to spin a feminist fable about agency and the power of collective action. It is a haunting and astoundingly cathartic tale of two women who will stop at nothing to take control of their fate. It just sounds so interesting, and it just kind of reminds me of Catherine's story in Vampire Diaries. I don't know. That's what I'm imagining in my head. and I'm really, really damn excited for this one because it just sounds interesting and dark and just all the vibes. Now we're going into March, and March is the month that I have more books of because March and April are like the top months of book releases. But when I was looking at the list, considering all the books that get released every single month all over the world, I don't know. But like for the United States, it's mostly March and April. The first book that we have is The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. I read all of her books and I didn't really love Say You Remember Me, but I would still continue to buy her books because she is an autobi author for me. She wrote one of my favorite books, Yours Truly, and I'm very excited about this one. I was watching the bookmas videos of Katie and Larry, and tell me why I didn't know that this was she was in love with her boyfriend's best friend, and that seems incredibly messy. I don't know what is she gonna do with the story, if she's gonna make it like for you to not root for the boyfriend or whatever. I don't know. I'm very interested on what she's gonna do with that whole plot line because it just seems hella messy. Next, we have In Her Own League by Liz Tomfordy. This is what I was telling you. This is the coach's story from the Windy City series. I am so excited. This is Monty and Reese's story. Reese's, I think we met her in Caught Up or in the later books. I am so damn excited. We have seen Monty from throughout the whole series, but he is Miller's dad, and Miller is the FMC on Caught Up, which is my favorite book of that whole series. But I'm so damn excited because whenever we met them, we got crumbs on every single book, and I'm so freaking excited. I'm so freaking excited. Like Windy City series is like my favorite sports romance series ever. Next we have No Matter What by Cara Bastone. I have only read Promise Me Sunshine by her, and I didn't really love it. I still haven't read Promise Me Sunshine by her, but am I dumb? I still haven't read Ready or Not by her, but I'm still kind of iffy on her. Like, the only book I've read is not a hit, but I think I could maybe enjoy her books. I don't know. This one, just the cover seems so cute, and the story seems like kind of interesting. It says after a traumatic accident threatens the foundations of their happy marriage, a young couple tries to rebuild and find their way back to each other and themselves in this tender, slow burn romance by the author of Ready or Not and Promise Me Sunshine. Ross and Vin can look at each other in the eyes anymore, let alone share a bed. It's been a year since they survived a traumatic car accident, and their marriage hasn't been the same. But Ross has hope they can fix things until she discovers Vin signed a new lease. So she does what any soon-to-be divorced Brooklynite would sign up for: figure drawing class. What the hell? Between her determined attempts to improve her skills in class every Friday and adventures with her best friend Rafi, she can almost ignore Vin's impending move-out day and his footsteps in their previously unoccupied guest room. But it would be a lot easier if Vin wasn't Rafi's older brother, and she didn't still find him incredibly debilitating, attractive, and kind. So kind, in fact, that he offers to let Ross draw him. What is she supposed to say? It's probably better than her original plan of finding some random male model online, and she needs all the practice she can get. Plus, that's sure to make a separation easier, right? Focus on every detail of your estranged spouse's body while drawing them in the nude. But after the year they have spent avoiding each other and their struggles in the aftermath of the accident, it feels good to see and be seen by one another again. As Ross works to better herself as an artist and capture the wholeness of the person she fell in love with, will they both be able to draw upon the feelings they buried deep inside to finally heal together? As of right this moment, I got really lost in the story, but from what I can guess is that is a second chance romance between a couple, and she started to take a drawing class, and she chooses to draw her ex-husband, and they reconnect that way. But like, Question mark, because that really didn't make a whole lot of sense. So yeah, that's that. Next we have How to Write a Love Story by Catherine Walsh. I have read the Fitzpatrick series. I have read Holiday Romance and Snow Inn, and she recently released like a collection of novellas from the family. But this one, the cover is stunning. The title is very interesting. So let's just read the blurb. It says Sierra Sierra Sheridan's father has left her with three. Huh? Sierra Sheridan's father has left her with three, a sprawling and distinctly ramshackle estate on the Irish coast. The outline for the finale to his best-selling epic fantasy series that he wanted her to finish and write his blog. Enter Sam Frank Sheridan, fanboy and hotshot editor, sent from the New York publishing house to direct to Sierra's doorstep. Sierra was expecting a crusty old timer, so the handsome young American is a surprise. And for his part, Sam was expecting Sierra to have written something by now. Sierra and Sam have 2 weeks of the hottest Irish summer on record to write this novel together and secure Frank's legacy. But will their own love story be the plot? Neither be the plot twist neither of them saw coming. Wait, it's kind of simplified a little bit on the first paragraph. So it just says it's an ambitious editor travels to Ireland to help the daughter of a fantasy author legend to complete her father's final book, only to fall in love with her in the process. So that kind of makes more sense as a whole lot of nothing I read, but it seems interesting. I tried to get an arc with this one, but sadly I didn't. But that's what's happened. We have one that it's mostly very niche because I am obsessed with her story. But we have Frida's Cook by Florencia Echeves. And honestly, when I saw there was something Frida, I was like, give it to me, give it to me. And it sounds quite interesting. I really love the book cover. And as I said, it is very niche because I love Frida Kahlo's story. I went to a museum of her like paintings and everything, her story, and I would really love to one day go to Mexico and just visit her house and everything. So let me give you a little bit of a summary about this book. It says a hidden painting, a very past, a legacy waiting to be uncovered. Mexico City, 1939. Young and determined Nayeli Cruz flees from her Oaxaca home to arrive in Mexico City with neither friends nor prospects. Alone and armed only with her sharp wit and extraordinary talent in the kitchen, she finds herself in front of La Casa Azul, the home of Frida Kahlo. As she begins work as the artist cook, Nayeli is pulled into Frida's world of pain, passion, and defiance. But it isn't long before, amid the vibrant tapestry of flavors, scents, and colors, the two women form a deep bond, one that would shape the course of Nayeli's life and leave behind a secret buried in art. Buenos Aires, present Paloma, Nayeli's granddaughter, stumbles upon a mysterious painting depicting her grandmother as a young woman. The artist's identity is unknown, but the artwork's existence threatens to unravel long-held family secrets. As Paloma delves into her grandmother's past, she uncovers a tale of passion, betrayal, and resilience that challenges everything she thought she knew about the one woman who raised her. A lyrical and timeless portrait of the human side of one of the world's most famous painters, Frida Cooks, celebrates the power of female friendship, art, and love. This doesn't say that it's sapphic, but it actually sounds quite a little bit of sapphic romance, which is it's just my jam. It's just my jam. Frida, I'm just sapphic romance. Yes. This next one, I mostly put on here because the cover is giving challengers. The main characters in challengers, the two boys, this is them, and you can convince me otherwise. And I feel like maybe this will be what will have happened in the movie if they just kiss each other and let the tension a little bit out. So it says American tennis star Leo Chambers is determined to win the US Open by 30, the age when many players feel retirement looming. He's just a year away from that dreaded birthday, but he can find his focus. Considering he hasn't told anyone he's gay, he's catching with his strict coach, who also happens to be his dad, and he still can't figure out how to beat his longtime nemesis on tour, Gabe Montoya, who, well, hits different. Gabe is playing better than ever, and Leo can't seem to escape him, and maybe he doesn't want to escape him. Leo's other obstacle is Sasha Volkov, a Russian legend who has such a powerful influence on the tennis world. He will destroy Leo's career if he found out that he's gay. No distractions, Leo reminds himself. But when Gabe makes a shocking announcement, Leo is thrown off his game in more ways than one. Ready? Play. 30 Love is a must read for fans of queer sports romances. I must say, I haven't read like a lot of queer sport romances. I think two, if I'm not mistaken. So this will be a new vibe and maybe I'll enjoy it. But as I said, this is just challengers for me. So the last one that I have for March is an arc that I recently read in one of my bookmas blogs, and that is Darkening Sun by Delphine Sedan. This book took me on such a ride. It took me so much. Can I speak? It's just what I'm trying to say is that this book took me by surprise. I really enjoyed it. The ending kind of left me unsatisfied, but like the whole storyline is very, very interesting, and I really, really loved it. It is basically Daisy Jones and the Six. We are following Alora and Eva, and Eva is in an intern on this like record label, and Alora is a singer, but she mostly posts on like social media. She doesn't like have a record. She doesn't work in a record label or like sings professionally. But one day, Ava discovers her on social media, and when she tries to pitch to her bosses that they should like sign this girl, they kind of ignore her, and she decides to just go on a whim and say that she can be Alora's manager, and you're just following them through what happens when you fall down the rabbit hole of fame, and you see like Alora being more depressed and more sad, and you see her trauma just kind of destroy her world. And you then see Ava, who was very bullied as a child, and she has such a traumatic childhood, and you see her being now obsessed with the fame and the money and what it can do to her popularity, something like that. And it's just you just have to read this book because I clearly can't speak, but it is a very beautiful traumatic sad story that it honestly hit so hard. Now, for April, the first book that I have is Release Me by Tahiri Mafi. This is the second book to the New Republic series that she has going on, which is like a spin off of the Shatter Me. The first one was Watch Me. I read it last year. No, wait, I read it this year, I think. And I really enjoyed it. I love James Story and I love her main character, which I can't remember her name, but I she was a little bit feisty. And I'm very excited to see how the story progresses because they made the artificial intelligence a lot more scarier than ever before, and it kind of resonates to the world right now. So it is very, very interesting. Then I have Chasing Fire by Paisley Hope. This is the fifth book, I think, and maybe the last one on her Silver Pine Ranch series. I've read the arc of the third and the fourth one, and I really enjoy them. This is like kind of cowboy romances, but this one is a firefighter romance, and there was one with where the MNC was a sheriff. It's just small town romances, and they're fun. They're easy to read. They're very bingeable. Not the best things in the world, but I really enjoy them. I also have We Burn So Bright by T.J. Klune, if I'm not mistaken. He's the author of The House in the Cerulean Sea, and he recently released another one this year, but I haven't read anything by him. But honestly, the plot of this one, as I said before, many times before, the plot of this one just caught my attention. It just seems like a really cozy, beautiful story. It says, husbands Don and Rodney have lived a good long life. Together they've experienced the highest heights of love and family and lows so low that they feel like the end of the world. Now the world is ending for real. A wandering black hole is coming for Earth, and in a month everything and everyone they've ever known will be gone. Suddenly, after 40 years together, Don and Rodney are out of time. They're in a race against the clock to make it from Maine to Washington State to take care of some unfinished business before it's all over. On the road, they meet those who refuse to believe that is coming and those who rush to meet it. But there are also people living their final days as best they know how, impromptu weddings, bright burning bonfires, chill meals, new friends. And as the black hole draws near, among ball lightning and under a cracked moon in a kaleidoscope sky, Don and Ronnie will look back on their lives and ask if their best was good enough. Is it enough to burn bright if nothing comes from the ashes? It just seems like such a good story, interesting as well because it's the end of the world. And honestly, it just seems I was really intrigued, and I think I'm gonna really enjoy it. I would like to read The House on the Cerulean Sea before I read this one. So because that is a book that has been on my radar for quite a bit. Now, the last book that I have for April is Unbound by Pinton Corinne. I recently read Unsteady. I still have to read Unloved, and I got the art for this one. I know it's a book that quite a few people love. I really didn't love Unsteady. I gave it like a 2.5. It's just a very easy lobby and kind of trauma bond and something like that. But I think I could really love Unloved. It, I could really love Unloved. Okay, and this one, it's for this story are like the main characters for this story is what I'm trying to say. Like the girl is kind of misjudged and seems like it is gonna be like sad and tragic and just a second chance a life kind of vibe. I don't know. It just seemed like it might be a more beautiful story. And the only thing I don't like about this book is that the covers won't match. Like I don't have the book covers. I've read it on my Kindle, but why would you like change the whole covers? Now let's go into May. I have Our Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune. Um, I have only read one book by her, and I know a lot of people are like kind of love and hate with her. Like most people have just really loved her recent release, or Golden Summer, I think it's called. And there were like 50-50 on Every Summer After. A lot of people didn't enjoy Meet Me at the Lake, and there are people that love or hate it, or This Summer Will Be Different. But I only read This Summer Will Be Different. It wasn't like the best book, but I had a good time, so I would like to try more of her books. This one says best friends have one week in paradise to fix their friendship or fall apart in this heart stopping, utterly romantic new novel. Frankie and George have been best friends since they were 8 years old. Both passionate, impulsive, and headstrong, they've always clashed and come back together. Until now, it's the eve of Frankie's wedding weekend, and she doesn't know where they stand or even if George will show up as her best man. Then, at the start of the festivities, in walks George. For one glorious evening, surrounded by her loved ones, Frankie's life is. We're back, and we're gonna do a very rapid fire the last three books that I have for the month of May. And the first one that I have is The Shippers by Catherine Sanger. I have only read one or two books by her. Can't really remember. Can't really remember. Can't really remember. But I really loved the book, the rom-comers by her. I really really enjoyed that one. And I read an arc of The Love Haters. That one was fine, but I'm still excited to read more of her books.